So in this video today, we're going to be looking back to this tweet and update right here from Counter-Strike, where they said, "Season's greeting, Premier Season 2 is live, and Premier Season 1 medals are being issued to all players who earned CSR." Obviously, this was a pretty significant update that not only started Season 2, but also gave us a couple different buffs and nerfs, and this was a time where a lot of people were making all different kinds of speculations in the CS2 investing markets. Obviously, some of those worked out very well, some of those did not, and in this video today, we're going to be looking back and trying to learn from what happened and see where the markets actually went over the next 2 months. So hopefully we can learn some stuff for the future as well. Today's video is sponsored by Pirate Swap, an automated CS2 trading platform where you can turn your skins into new ones simple and easy. All you have to do is click on the skins that you want to get rid of and then click on the new skins that you want to own and select confirm trade. It's that simple, it's that easy. And Pirate Swap has an amazing collection of skins, so you will definitely be able to find something that you like. And if you use the discount code GERM on Pirate Swap today, you're actually going to be able to claim a free $10 bonus and be able to get a 35% deposit bonus as well. So it's an awesome site with awesome features offering you an amazing discount. So there's no reason to not go check out Pirate Swap with that first link in the description below today. And thank you to them for sponsoring this video. So first we need to dive into this update and see what actually happened. Obviously it wasn't that long ago. I'm sure most of you can pretty much remember, but in this we got gameplay updates, a couple of them, some significant ones also. We got the M4A4 being reduced to 2900. So obviously this was a buff to the M4A4. This got people excited. This got people thinking, but so did all the other updates in here, because there's a couple more to get through. We have the FAMAS accuracy being improved and the price being reduced to 1950. So there we're seeing two buffs to the FAMAS overall. And then we got reduced crouching accuracy for the MP9, the MP5, and the MP7. I think out of all of those, obviously the MP9 was kind of the one that got most people curious. Now, I didn't really hear anyone, too much. It was like, oh, I'm going to be selling my MP9 or selling my SMGs or anything like that. But the two main ideas, the two main speculations, the two main investments that came out of this whole thing was people buying M4A4s and people buying FAMASs. Now, obviously, people had different ideas there. There were some people that was like, oh, I'm going to buy them and try and, sell them sometime during this pump. Or some people being like, hey, I'm just going to buy these and hold these things and see what happens. People had all different ideas. Again, some people wanted a quick flip. Some people saying, hey, these things are just going to kind of increase in value from here, whatever. And if I do remember correctly, I was making videos at this time about this stuff. I think at the very beginning, we did see both the M4A4 and the FAMAS have very, very nice price spikes. And obviously, some people were saying, hey, the M4A4 stuff doesn't make as much sense because this isn't as significant of a buff. Yeah, it's a buff, and yeah, more people probably will end up using the M4A4, but most people who play Counter-Strike, already owned M4A4 skins because the M4A4 wasn't, like, terrible. It wasn't unusable. It wasn't unplayable before. So are really that many more people going to be using the A4 and buying skins for it and stuff now? And maybe not, maybe, who knows, but most people are like, hey, this FAMAS could actually be a little bit more interesting because this actually is two buffs. This could actually get a lot more people to use the FAMAS, and this could really see a nice price spike. So again, right away, we saw both these prices spiking. Some people saying, hey, these price spikes are warranted. Some people saying, hey, this is stupid. You better sell now. These prices are going to go back down. Neither of these buffs even matters that much. And if we look at some of the data, this was actually tweeted out by Counter-Strike News. Leadify shared stats comparing the daily usage of the FAMAS and the MP9 in Premier matches since the update. The FAMAS saw a big spike in usage after the price update, but things have started to settle down afterwards. So this is a graph comparing the kills that are being the percentage kills for the FAMAS versus the MP9. Again, the FAMAS got buffed, the MP9 got nerfed, and you can see there is that data point right here where the FAMAS does bump up, the red, where the red spikes up. That's obviously when the update happened. FAMAS almost went to about 50% of the kills compared to the MP9, but it never quite got there. And ever since then, it has just kind of been decreasing every single day. Now, the FAMAS is still being used more than it was pre-buffs, obviously, but it is kind of going back down. And honestly, how things are trending right now, we might eventually get back to where things were even before the buff. So it seems like it had a very, very small impact. It did make the FAMAS better, but at the end of the day, does that even if the FAMAS was better, does that make it a better investment? And again, is it even better enough to have a significant impact on the prices over time? That's what we're going to be looking at. So we do have right here the FAMAS. I'm filtering out, this is on Price Empire, they're trending. I am filtering out the FAMASs in factory new, not looking at stat track, not looking at souvenirs. I just wanted to get this as clean as possible. It's still not going to be perfect no matter what, because obviously there's so many different skins and so many different wares, and all the wares and the skins move differently. They have different amounts of liquidity and volume and all that stuff, whatever. But this is what has happened. Again, that update happened exactly 2 months ago. That was January 28th. Today is March 28th. We're filtering this by 60 days. So it's going to give us, pretty close to what exactly was going on. But also some of these changes were teased and leaked a little bit beforehand. So, plus or minus a couple days here, whatever. And you can see there is a couple FAMASs that have done really, really well in the past 2 months. The Spitfire in Factory News up 49%. The Macabre is up 31%. Even the Crypsis is up 16%. But then it really starts to slow down. We see the Styx up about 12%. Nightbore up 10%. But then as you continue to scroll down, there's a lot that are very close to break even, like the Meltdown, the Spectrum, the Contrast Spray, the Waters of Nepenthes. And then you can see there's a lot that are actually down over the past 2 months, which is really crazy because, again, in this time, the FAMAS got not one, but two buffs, and a lot of people were buying them, and we also saw price spikes at this time, so it's actually pretty crazy that a lot of these FAMASs got speculated on so hard, and that the prices have actually dropped down to where they, below where they even were pre-update. Now, I don't necessarily understand why. Maybe they just pumped up too hard, maybe people speculated in them too hard, whatever, but it does seem like FAMASs overall have not been a great investment. They've actually been, break even or losing. Again, there's a couple winners, but depending on which ones you picked, and that's the other thing here, it was really hard to even decide. Say you think the FAMASs are going to go up, FAMAS are going to increase in price, like which ones do you buy, what wares do you buy, how many of them do you buy, whatever. Like, this was not a very, very clear investment. I did stay away from this. I did not buy any FAMASs. I did not buy any M4A4s because of this news, because of the information or whatever, and ultimately I'm not really a skin investor anyway. Skins are not the primary thing or really something at all that I invest in, so this wasn't necessarily my field. And I do think overall, one of the things we can probably learn from this in all of CS2 investing is to kind of stay in your lane, stay in what you're specialized in, stay in your expertise. Don't get caught up in the flavor of the month. Don't get caught up in, FOMOing into like whatever's hot at that time, because, a lot of people who had never, not really known anything about FAMASs or not really invested in FAMASs before, and not really knew, the price movements of them or what was a good deal, bad deal, whatever, probably started buying into FAMASs. And yeah, some of them sold out early and probably made some pretty nice profits because profits did spike up. But again, what were you going for? How much profits were you going for? What percent was enough? What dollar amount was enough? Whatever. And if you didn't sell, it seems like you've given back a lot, if not all those gains, and then maybe even more, because it does look like, at least from what I'm looking at, that a lot more FAMASs are down in the past 2 months than are actually up in the past 2 months, and that's pretty crazy. Now, we're going to take a look at the M4A4s, which, again, this is interesting here because M4A4s got a much smaller buff, and they were already a much better weapon, but the M4A4s, which I think most people expected to maybe have a little bit of a bump, but the FAMAS seemed like the better choice for a lot of people. These M4A4s have seen much more sustained growth and gains. You have some stuff that has almost doubled in price in the last 2 months, like the Desert Strike and the Bullet Rain. You have a lot of stuff up over 50%. The Battlestar, the Spider Lily, the Buzzkill, the Neo Noir. A lot of stuff up over 25%. And overall, you just see a lot more stuff holding these gains better and a lot less stuff that hasn't done well. You have, you have the Tooth Fairy, and how many do we have on the second page? We have a decent amount. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, like 10 M4A4s that are actually down in the last 2 months, but a full page almost of ones that are up, and a lot of these up very, very significantly. So I don't know, maybe a takeaway here is that obviously the M4A4 is a much more iconic, much more used weapon, much better skins, much more desirable skins, much more in demand. So one thing could be obviously to focus on those high demand areas, because definitely something we've seen time and time again throughout the history of the CS markets is that demand is a huge part. Something can be rare, something can be, volatile, something can be flavor of the month, whatever, but genuine demand kind of wins out in the long run. And yeah, people were maybe hot on FAMASs for a couple weeks or a couple months or whatever, but people are using them less and less in game now, and it seems like people are caring about and buying them less and less now, as well as those skins have continued to crash. And the M4A4, it didn't even take much of a buff to get these prices really skyrocketing very, very fast, where, people like the M4A4, it has nice skins, it has a lot of demand, it's a great gun to use in game, it has cool skins, people have already put in a lot of money into them previously, and now they just had an excuse to buy even more, and it seems like they haven't sold out. They haven't given up on this. It seems like, they are still using and buying these because, again, these 2 month numbers are really, really, really strong. Also, on the MP9 side, obviously, we did see the nerf to the MP9, but MP9 prices, kind of just seem randomly all over the place. Some of them have seen some price increases. We've seen some price drops, but it doesn't really seem like there's a big trend of like, hey, the MP9 got nerfed, the prices dropped, nothing like that. So I don't know. Obviously, like I said, we are going to see more changes and updates and patches and stuff in the future. Obviously, in Counter-Strike, they are very few and far between, but you do want to be ready for the next one. I think the big takeaway from this is that you do want to go after those bigger skins. You know, if something like the AWP gets buffed, or the M4A4, or the M4A1S, or, you know, an iconic item, or the AK, you know, something like that people actually use. If it gets buffed, it's probably an okay time to buy in, but also some of these other things, it seems like, you know, when there is a lot of hype going on, if you do see that big spike up, like something with FAMAS where we did see those big price spikes right away, you might want to be looking to get out. You might want to be looking to exit. And honestly, for me, that means I probably just want to stay away from stuff like that altogether, because things can be very volatile and they kind of get in the area of gambling where, you know, who knows when you're going to sell, who knows when you're going to buy, who knows if you're going to be able to get out. But, you know, investing in the high demand stuff like M4A4s or like really iconic weapons does kind of seem like the way to go, because again, we only saw a very, very small buff to this and the price have done well. We saw some honestly pretty significant buffs to the FAMAS, but prices haven't done that well. So that's just kind of something to keep in mind and watch out for. But yeah, I don't know. I thought this was pretty interesting. I thought right now is a perfect time to kind of look back and see what has happened in the past 2 months, 2 months later, and maybe we can learn from this going forward in the future. I don't know. I would love to hear what your guys' experience were with these buffs and with these changes, if you were able to make any money off any of this stuff, or what you've kind of learned and what you're going to do going forward in the future. But yeah, pretty much every video today, guys. Hopefully catch you in the next one. Until then, peace.